So, you want to start a webtoon. Or maybe you are already working on one and you just want to listen to something while you work on something. Because if that's the case, I'm here and I got you, fam. Alright. Now, I know that there are a lot of people out there that are really thinking about starting a comic, but they just don't really do it, or they had a story for years and years in their mind and they just don't know, or they tell themselves, yeah, I'm still not good enough to make my dream idea come true, and I am here to tell you some really important things when it comes to that specific topic of finding not only the motivation but also the discipline and the habit of making a comic. The most important thing that I want to point out is please don't be afraid to start or to think that your art is not good enough, because, spoiler alarm, but you will improve really, really fast if you start doing a comic. You will improve in a very short amount of time, and really shortly after that, you will already think, oh man, my art was so bad back then, I wish I wouldn't have done it, but that's exactly what you need to do. You will improve very fast. Don't think about the art right now. In the beginning, what you want to do is to start to improve, to learn, and to become better. Don't expect your first work to just blow up, because it probably won't. I worked on 3 different comic ideas that I canceled, but we're not gonna talk about that. But my very first comic idea did not blow up. My second comic idea, as well, it didn't blow up. But I kept trying and trying, and I got to a point where my comic became way more popular. So you don't break your hat and don't be too much discouraged just because your first work is not doing well. And as I already said, you will really, really quickly improve, and it's really crazy how much you improve within the span of a couple months already. So, yeah. That already comes with the second point, and that is, I wouldn't recommend for your very first work to do something that is already on your mind for years. I know a lot of people want to do this one big epic one piece kind of story, but I would not recommend to do that, because you're a beginner, right? And as I already said, you will improve really, really quickly. So do yourself a favor in the really big, epic story in your mind, so that you can actually do your story justice and not start with quote-unquote your bad art. But start when you are already more professional, when you have already experience, which is why I know a lot of people will be like, yeah, that sucks, etc. But you are not giving yourself enough credit. There are tons and tons of other story ideas you definitely have in your head, and you just don't know about it yet. So absolutely try to go for a shorter story, something that you can wrap up within a year or so. Try to do something like that, try to learn, try to make it into a good experience, and then after that comic, you will thank yourself that you didn't start with your dream idea, because after starting with my dream ideas and realizing how much I improved, I noticed that it's not really smart to do that, which is why I started with my masochistic boss, my comic that I'm currently working on. And it is a very silly and simple story, and I'm really glad that I started with that, because you can already tell in my masochistic boss how much the art improved within a very short amount of time. And I'm really glad that I did that, because I learned just so much by doing this story, and it already, it has a pretty big audience so far. I think it doesn't matter, but it definitely helps you not only with your art and with your storytelling, but it also builds already an audience for you. So your second comic, that is maybe a big grand idea that you want to work on, will have an audience and will have it way easier to grow big. So yeah, do yourself and your big grand story the favor of not making it your very first story. By the way, I think personally there is this one statement that I hear a lot, and that is that you need to love a comic if you want to finish it. And I respectfully disagree with that statement, because I think if you start to work on something that you just like obviously you shouldn't hate it, but if you're like really, really obsessed with something and you really love it, you get really perfectionist about it. Like in your head, it's just so cool and epic and dramatic, but when you try to bring it onto paper or your tablet, to be more specific, it just isn't what you thought it would be. So yeah, personally, I think working on something that you really wholeheartedly love is way harder than to work on something that you just like. I think that is the best thing to start with, a comic idea that is easy, simple, that you can finish within a year or two, or even less, and that you like but are not like really obsessed with, you know? So you're not too attached to the characters. So even when someone says something bad about them, you're like, yeah, whatever, it's not that deep, you know? But if it's characters that you were already on your mind for years and years, it will really fucking suck. And the last, and I think the most important thing, is to just start. I know there are a lot of tips, and a lot of people think there is like some grand secret to become a quote-unquote successful comic artist, but really the best way to learn how to do a comic is to just start doing it. And as I already said, I don't think that motivation finishes a comic. Motivation is something that starts a comic, but it is not what finishes it. If you want to finish a comic, you definitely need to try. You need to make this into a habit. It needs to become a daily routine. And every day you are not drawing, starts feeling a little weird, something's missing, I don't know, make this into a habit, even at days where you really don't feel like drawing and you're like, I don't know, would rather watch Netflix and eat some snacks. I would do that. I would like to do that as well. But maybe you can watch a show on the side if you can handle that. I can't handle it, but some other people are multitasking and they can do that. I rather like to listen to music or to podcasts while I'm drawing. I don't really like to watch shows, but maybe you are someone who prefers to do that. So, yeah. Those are just some tips and things that you should consider when you want to start your webtoon, and I wish you lots and lots of luck, success, and a lot of fun while you start to prepare your webcomic, or maybe you even already started it and you're in the beginning stage. Alright, this pretty much, we're coming to the end, which means you should definitely check out my 2 webcomics. That is called My Masochistic Boss and Backstage Love. You can check them both out in the description. And if you, my lovely dear viewer, want to support me, you can support me on Patreon, because that's the place to be. And you can get a lot of really cool rewards, and even sticker or prints or other some more spicier stuff is also on there. Okay, then bye bye.